everyone, and welcome to Rising Stories. I'm Corrine Sandifer, your host, and I started this show because I'm a business and life coach, and I dive into the lives of business women from all walks of life. Many of them feel that they aren't doing enough and that they feel all alone out there. It was empowering to them to know that other women struggle with the same things that they are going through. So it's my hope in listening to these shows that you will also feel connected in a sense of camaraderie with my guest. Even if you are not a business owner or author, I hope you will be inspired in some way by hearing these stories. I would love to connect with you, and you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Corrine Sandifer. I'm also on Twitter and Snapchat under the same name. I also would like to take this time to say thank you for listening. This is my 20th episode. Woohoo! I'm still having fun. This is awesome. I hope you are enjoying these shows as much as I am, and that you are learning something from each one of these guests that will either better your business or better your life. My guest today is Sarah Mutter from Best Gal Beads. She has an Etsy shop selling trend teething necklaces for moms. These are durable necklaces that are safe for toddlers and nursing. You might have seen them where kids can play with them, put them in their mouth, and keep them occupied. So that's what Sarah does. And in this show, Sarah and I talk about lots of business practices and what she does and how she has grown her business. It's exciting to hear her story, and she is also one of the most adorable people I know. So here's my conversation with Sarah. The other day I was talking to a business colleague of mine, and he does a business podcast. It's like it's a 10-minute business podcast, and it's just him. And he said, I don't know if I need to continue this. And I said, why? Why not? And he said, well, because I was talking to one of my top clients, and I was talking to him and telling him all about podcast and blah, 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 blah. And I mentioned podcast again. And he said, wait a minute, what's a podcast? Like, what is
No
this?
way.
Yeah. So, so you just assume that everybody knows what a podcast is. I mean, they've been around for a while, but
A
he
long
did not
time.
know. And he was like, what are you talking about? Explain to me what a podcast is.
Whole new world for that guy. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's going to open up a whole new world. And I think it's picking up pace, I think. Because used to be just podcasting was for sermons and certain people had them, but now there's a lot more of us out there. So, well, tell me what you do. Tell us what you do and what business that you are running.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. My name is Sarah Mutter, and I own Best Gal Beads. And we make on-trend teething necklaces for moms and cute, durable necklaces for little people, for boys and girls.
And you're on Etsy?
So that's what I do. Yeah, I sell primarily on Etsy. But then I also have some product in different like brick and mortar places, mostly like birth centers, or boutiques that are aimed just at moms and babies and children.
Oh, wow. And I bet that, we didn't have those when my kids are older. And so we didn't have those. I mean, they always grabbed my jewelry and always didn't even think about. That's a great invention. So you just started getting the beads and you have different designs. I checked out your Etsy store. And how do you come up with the designs? You just kind of like fashion trend, or maybe just like what you like?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I kind of like to see what is out there. The reason I ended up making Best Gal Beads is because I had, with my third baby, he was struggling to pay attention during nursing, and he needed to pay attention because he's the third, so he's looking at what all the other kids are doing, and he had some trouble growing, so I really needed him to pay attention when he was eating. So I had looked at buying like a teething necklace, or people also call them nursing necklaces. They just occupy a baby while they're being fed with a bottle or nursing, but they are break resistant. but I hadn't found any that I liked. So I ordered some different bits and pieces off of Etsy and made my own and got a bunch of compliments on it and had mom say, oh, I would love something like that. But the ones that are out there are just a little too like neon, So that's kind of how that was born. So I order, all my product in, the pieces for the product in bulk and then assemble them myself. I have a group of people that I trust, friends and artists, to kind of give me feedback on different things. And then right now I'm in the midst of developing our fall and winter line. So just kind of like bouncing stuff off people, but then mostly I just go with what I like, and what gets good feedback, but also something that I feel really good about selling. Like, I like how this looks. I would use this. So, those are my like kind of broad parameters for what makes it into Best Gal Beads.
I love that. I saw some of the colors, and I absolutely love those colors because I'm really big on teal, that aqua kind of color, and
that's really popular.
But to me, okay, so those big beads, are they like small enough to where the like for little hands, they just kind of grab them and then just kind of stick them in their mouth and stuff, and they can. So they're teething. There's some that are teething, and then some that are just to occupy, or they're all for teeth.
They do both. They do all of that. So you said like when your babies were little, they were always, playing with your jewelry and stuff. My kids did too before I had any sort of like durable necklace like this. And I had so much broken jewelry. And I had actually given up on wearing most of my jewelry because it just wasn't durable enough for my children. So we have every necklace has a breakaway clasp. So if it's something or someone yanks on it hard enough, it's just going to open and release instead of breaking, and you have to restring it and find all the pieces. And then we have silicone beads, and they are BPA free of every hard metal, everything that's bad that you wouldn't want to ingest. And then I also have wooden beads on some of the necklaces that are just raw wooden beads. They're treated with usually a combination of coconut oil or olive oil and beeswax to kind of give them a seal, but again, to keep them from being toxic or harmful to a child. So, I know moms find that really beneficial, but I also have people who don't have children that just like what they look like, or like the fact that they're durable, that you can throw them in a pack and take them somewhere and they're not going to be messed up or broken or anything like that. So I sell a lot to moms of young children, but I actually have been surprised at how many people who don't have small children just like how they look and have purchased them. So, yeah.
Yeah, you said something about being, you said something about like when you have, when you're thinking of something to create like a new style, that you ask your friends. And I, when I talk to my clients, because I help small business owners, I always tell them that it's always good to have a group, like a circle of either a circle of friends or a group of advisors that kind of grow with you and kind of give you feedback. Like, so like they might say, Sarah, I really think you need to, like you might think, oh, maybe I need to add another product. And they might say, you could kind of test market it on there, like, do you think that these moms would be able to, afford this price? What about this? Is this, does this complement my products? And so I love that you're already doing that with your, that you had that foresight to see, to develop a group, like an advisory group, an advisory board, so to speak, that you can kind of say, hey, what about this? Does this look cool? Kind of giving you some feedback. We all need good feedback, right?
Oh, yeah, seriously. Well, and I just have a great group of friends and family that I get feedback on most things from, so it's felt really natural to do that, and it has been really helpful. And, one thing that's come out of that has been a big request for bracelets, because the necklaces, you're really not supposed to just let babies, play with on their own unsupervised. but a bracelet will be a solid piece. And so I've had moms and friends in that kind of advisory circle request that. So those will be coming out in a month, and I'm really excited about those. Yeah. So you're right. I don't even know if I did that I'm an artist. Like the whole business world is very new to me, and I'm sure I do a lot of things wrong, but it's good to hear I did one thing right.
Yeah, I think you're doing, tell us, like, because you're in Etsy and then you probably sell some things on Facebook, or just kind of word of mouth. What has been your biggest marketing tip, or, what great marketing tip would you give someone who's wanting to open up an Etsy store?
I think networking is a big deal. And in this sense of, I've found that Instagram has actually been my best marketing tool as far as Best Gal Beads. But, hand in hand with that, through Facebook, I was added kind of randomly by a friend to a group called the Rising Tide Society. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's over maybe at the time I joined, I think it was 50,000 members globally. And their concept is, as the tide rises, every boat comes with it. And so it's this really supportive community of people, a lot of photographers, a lot of graphic designers, but all different types of artists and artisans that come together and just give each other feedback. And so when I first started, let me see, when did I start? A little over a year ago. That was a great resource for me to get feedback, but then also connect and network. And from that, I had different photographers from around the nation, offer to give me free product photography, to do different kind of giveaways, promote on their social media for me. And that was a really big deal. And so I just appreciate that warm, welcoming business environment that wasn't competitive, but really was saying, when you prosper, I prosper. So that's been really helpful to me, especially because, again, like the business side, I'm a huge novice. Like, really, my husband manages a lot of the financials and all of that, and I'm learning. I'm definitely learning. I don't know, just to find, just a community like that has been really altering for me in a good way.
I think that's very helpful to have a community of, and you probably don't know this word, or you might know what this word means, but that's your mastermind group. It's a group of masterminds that you kind of get together, and you're growing together, but you're also kind of lifting each other up and saying, hey, I did this. Or, a lot of times when I conduct mastermind groups, there'll be like maybe one person that has already done something well. And, we'll have a spotlight of one person, and they'll say, I am having a hard time marketing on my product on Etsy. And that other one may have already been down that road, and they may say, maybe you need to tweak these pictures, or maybe you need to do this. let me take a look at it. And it's just, I just love the community. Like you were saying, when the tide rises, all the boats are going to go up. And so, I hate the whole, competitiveness, because there's room for everybody. I mean, I don't buy all books of the same genre. I'm going to buy one because it speaks to me. And you may be buying a totally different book because it speaks to you. And so, same thing. I mean, with jewelry and with everything else, there's plenty to go around. And I think sometimes that Etsy is still an untapped market. I mean, I just started buying on Etsy about maybe a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago. And I was just, my daughter just got married this last month. And so we used it for a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah. It's a great resource.
Yeah. We used it for
awesome.
It was great to do our program, the wedding program on that. And we found all kinds of stuff on there. And we really like Etsy. Yeah. What's your favorite app? It doesn't have to be a business app, but something that you use, like a productivity software tool that you use every day.
Oh, gosh. Productivity.
Or not
I don't.
productivity. Or maybe it
I think
keeps
like
you from
app
being productive.
productivity.
Maybe for me, like, it keeps me from being productive. That's
Oh,
what my app does.
oh no. Well, honestly, I'm kind of boring with that. I really do like Instagram. A few years ago, I quit Facebook for a little while, not to totally, trash Facebook, but it just sometimes can get stressful.
Mm-hmm.
Especially during an election year. I think the last
Yes.
election cycle, was when I started stepping off of Facebook. Um, I'm back on it now purely for business stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, but because of that, I found that I really like Instagram because it's beautiful and it's mostly positive and uplifting. But I found, originally I'm a painter. That's
Okay.
where I got into art as a young person. I still do that, do some worship art at church and muraling and stuff. But I have found so many amazing artists globally through Instagram that I
Wow.
find really inspiring. And and for me at least, it cuts a lot of like the drama that social media can bring.
Yes.
It can be so positive and then it can be so stressful. And so I really, even in this season, I really feel the Lord, trying to encourage me to keep all of that positive and to not let it be a distraction, but just really like a positive, life-giving thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's helpful or not, but Instagram, I like Instagram.
Yeah.
I like Instagram a lot. Other than that, I try not to use too many apps. I'm probably not the best like generation MIY or X, whichever one,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Etsy, does Etsy have an app that you check to see
Oh
your,
yeah.
like, so that's, yeah. So that might be
Oh
something that you
yeah.
check. Yeah.
I guess I could talk about Etsy's app, which is great. I have both of Etsy's apps. Their seller app is so easy to
Really?
use. It's brilliant. Etsy will, if you sell with Etsy, they'll send you the Etsy Square, basically, that you can,
Oh,
plug
you're
into your phone or
kidding.
plug into, and they just send it to you.
Oh, wow.
So
So that
so
you
I
can
also,
sell on Etsy through,
your phone or
like,
your iPad. Hmm.
like when you're like maybe at a fair or something, if you're going to do, oh,
Right. I do a few fairs a year. I'm getting ready for one in September.
mm-hmm,
And all I have to do is have my iPad or my phone. This time I'm just going to take my phone. I'm not even going to worry about an iPad.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And just hook up the Square and their little app. You can enter whatever amount, slide people's credit cards, and it takes, I don't know, less than a minute. I mean, it's really
Wow.
convenient. Um,
I was just
so I,
thinking you were checking, like, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and then that app actually now that I think about it, I do really like that app. It tracks how many viewers I've had in a day. I can look at how many viewers I had this month in correlation with different sales that I've had,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just tracks all like the money that flows through Etsy. Not all of my sales come through Etsy, but when I go back and log sales and all of that, it's just so easily compiled. Like, I don't know, maybe other platforms are like that, but I don't know. I think Etsy's worked really hard to make it intuitive because again, I think they understand that they're dealing with a bunch of artists that are trying to make money, but
Right.
they're dealing with a bunch of artists, and I appreciate that about them. So even the app is beautiful and simple and easy to use. So yeah.
Ah, that's very encouraging. I didn't even think about that, but you're right. Most Etsy sellers are artistic and artists, and they don't have the necessarily the business brain and the financial brain to go, oh,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. I'm going to do this and this and that. So it does have to be user friendly. Ah, I didn't even think about that. That's
It
great.
does. And Etsy will, I've seen them do this and I think it's consistent. They will send out little notifications frequently to people that sell with them on like tips to help you market, tips to help you run your business. So they're also kind of, teaching people as they go. If you want the information, it's there for you. And I find that helpful too, because they do realize, who they're working with.
Yeah.
Not that every artist doesn't know how to, be business savvy per se, but generally, you don't think like a group of artists is going to always have the best business sense innately or whatever. So,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
so
And
they
so
think of us.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's great. So there's two business apps. There's one that you can check your sales, and then you said the other. What's the other Etsy app?
hmm so it's just it's like a regular how I would go online, like through my Safari browser and look at my own personal Etsy. So I have a
Okay,
personal Etsy with my name, Sarah, that's connected to Best Gal Beads. So that's the other app. So that there's Etsy Seller, which is the one that I
gotcha.
can use to sell it in
Mm-hmm.
person. And then the other app is just an easier way to get to your Etsy page and kind of check stuff out and
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think if I was doing that, I would totally like spend all my profits on Etsy.
I barely look at other stuff because it's a problem.
It's a
Well, and
dark hole
I
for me.
know, but you get on there and you see that people are so creative and
Mm-hmm.
amazing. And my husband and I, speaking of weddings, we got married almost 7 years ago, and we got our wedding bands from Etsy,
Oh,
from
wow.
an artisan out of, where was he from? New Zealand. He made our wedding bands, and an artisan from Jerusalem made my engagement ring. And they're
Wow.
unique, one of a kind, and affordable as well
Yeah.
because there's no middleman and
Yeah.
none of that. Yeah.
Love that. Love that.
hmm
So you're a mom, you're a wife and a mom. You have how many
hmm
kids?
I have 3 kids. I have a
Three kids.
5-year-old daughter, and then I have 2 boys, 3 and 1.5.
Oh, three and one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have a few that are still, you know, teeth are going to be coming in. So still
Yeah, I
teething, so to
do.
speak. Not as much of, once they get past a certain age, they're not drooling and hurting as much, but when their teeth are coming in, but
Yeah.
when they're little, tiny, they really do need
hmm
those beads. They need just something. I used to give
hmm
mine. I know this is off the subject, but I used to give mine a cold
Sure.
carrot, like a
Yeah.
huge cold carrot, and they would just
hmm
because we didn't have beads. I would have loved those beads. I would have loved those beads to wear and to let them chew on and entertain
hmm
themselves. So, tell me, like, what I'm curious to know, just kind of, just out of curiosity, where was your last vacation that you took with your family? I know it's
It
crazy.
was no, it's funny. It was Dollywood. I'd never I'd
You went
never
to
been.
Dollywood? I've never been either.
Okay, well, we
And
went
we're
to
both on,
Splash Country.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, so I have family in Nashville where you are
Okay.
that had my cousin. She's like a she's a blogger and she's on some local like Nashville. Her name's Sammy Cohn. She's like on some morning show in Nashville TV. I'm
Oh,
sorry,
wow.
I'm not from Nashville, so I don't know. But anyway, I think she and her family invited us to meet them at Dollywood,
Yeah.
and we did Splash Country, and so it was like a mini family reunion for my mom's whole side of the family.
Oh, nice.
And I was so impressed
I
with,
hear it's really great.
and I've heard that too, and was kind of like skeptical, but the people in my life who are probably listening to this right now have heard me um, rave about Dollywood, so I'm not going to do it too much. We're not like big theme park people,
Yeah.
but I just found it so incredibly well done
Yeah.
and like it's kind of inspiring. um, we did the Splash Country, and my kids just enjoyed it at all the ages. There's a place for my 1.5-year-old to be independent.
Hmm.
It's probably like 4 inches of water. He thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
And then, all the way to my almost 6-year-old. And it was just beautiful and amazing and well done. And we went to what's it called? Dolly's Resort,
Uh-huh.
Dreammore Resort. It was their first year anniversary. That place is amazing. I'm
Wow.
completely impressed with what Dolly has done.
I'll
Yeah.
have to try it out. So what was your favorite whole thing out of the whole vacation? Like one thing, if you could say, if you go
Um,
here, you're gonna have to, like for me, when I tell people they're saying they're going to Disney World, and I say you've got to get some Dole Whip.
oh, yeah,
The
okay.
Dole Whip. Like, what's the one thing that, like, if you go to Dollywood, you've got to do, you know, whatever.
Oh gosh, I think you have to just go to the Dreammore
Okay.
Resort and just they have a restaurant there,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just beautiful and amazing, and it's completely made just for families to be together and enjoy. I don't know a ton about Dollywood. I haven't been to like Dollywood the park. We just
Mm-hmm.
did Splash Country and Dreammore, but honestly, this is kind of cheesy, but maybe it's not. Maybe it is. Um, I was really inspired that, someone who grew up in, you know, just poverty and just in such a
Yeah.
rural, just sort of a disadvantaged scenario, grew up and her dreams were fulfilled, but they've blessed all the people around her. I just thought, like,
She's an amazing
Lord, it's
lady.
so amazing. Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really known that until the last year,
Yeah.
So I'm just more impressed with the overall concept.
Yeah.
I'm not the best with the details, but more the overarching concept of the whole place. Yeah, that's not helpful. But,
No, I mean, I'm kind of, you're selling me on it. I was like, maybe my next vacation will be Dollywood. I mean, it's so
do
close for
it.
us, but we just have never been. I think my daughter went at high school, with a high school group, but I've never been. So
Go for
maybe
it.
that needs to be our
Mm-hmm.
next. We're not, um, Disney, 7 days at Disney. We're not motion kind of people. Like we didn't
Yeah.
really like after 7 days of just constantly doing something that was like a motion. We were either riding a ride or walking to a ride or like on a train going to our hotel or in the car, whatever. That
Yeah.
once we got out of Disney and we started driving and we had to stop at our hotel and we rode the elevator, all my kids like held on to the side. They were like, oh, we don't want to be on any more rides. It was, we were like, but we still had a
overload.
good time. So we probably would just do the Splash Park. I think that would, that would be good. So, well, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Kind of just being nosy. I just wanted to hear
Yeah, be nosy. It's all good.
what your latest vacation was. So tell me, I ask all my guests, like, what you are reading these days, if you're a reader. It doesn't have to be a business book. It can be any kind of book.
Well, I don't get to read a lot, but you asked at a great time. A friend of mine just published a book. It's called Adventure Available. It's by Maggie Turner. And I don't have it with me. I think Adventure Available, it's something like,
Sounds
I don't want to
exciting.
butcher it. It's geared mostly towards people in their 20s to kind of just encourage them but really anyone who, is kind of looking for what God has for them or their path in life or, what dreams to pursue and that sort of thing. But it is mostly for kind of that age group, 20 to 30.
Okay.
But just talking about we're made for a grand adventure and there's no time like the present and we don't know how long we have, but you might as well, pursue the things that God has put in your heart. So I just started reading that, and it's fun to read a book that a friend wrote because I know the people she's talking about and the stories she's telling, and I'm really inspired. She's a mom of 3 little kids and is authoring books and ministering to people all over. So
Wow.
I find that to be
That's
really
great.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what 3 things are you absolutely loving these days? Something that's like rocking your world and
I would say sleep, but I don't get that. So, let's see. Sleep. I can't wait to meet him again. Let's see. I like to work out, and have you ever heard of TRX suspension training?
No.
I used to be part of a gym, used to do that kind of stuff. I've been an athlete my whole life. I played soccer for like 25 years, but I've now just have had to find ways to work out at home. So amongst other things, I have a TRX suspension fitness
oh wow
apparatus. It's really cool. It's easier to Google than to explain.
Is it in your basement or your bonus room or something?
Yeah, it's in my little 1950s basement.
Cool.
I really like doing that. Let's see. I tried to think of things. I've been reading Romans. That's been kind of rocking my world in a big way. That's been good. I like to do Bible journaling. Don't know if you've heard of that movement.
Is that like bullet journaling? Or is it
It isn't. Mm-mm. Well,
Bible
it isn't.
journaling? Is it like, oh, is it the one where you buy that Bible and then you like make something really pretty? Oh, because you're an artist. Yeah, there you go.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
I am
yeah.
like the polar opposite, so I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
I know, sure, right? But so they're journaling Bibles, which are really cool. But I'm decided to keep one and give one, like for
Give
my
one
oldest
away.
daughter, give them to my children. So
Oh, what a
so
great
even if you
idea.
don't, even if you don't feel super artistic, there's a margin in the Bible, so you can write what you're praying for them in the year
Oh,
2016, or what God was saying, or
now
what God
that
was
I
doing,
can
and then
do.
you can, and it's an heirloom for them. And even, I want my kids to see my spiritual journey,
Mm-hmm.
because honestly, to tie it back to business, I like what we're doing with necklaces.
Mm-hmm.
It's really been blessed. It's going well, but I really appreciate the opportunity to encourage mothers, because it's challenging. It's not the easiest
Yes.
season of life, and yet it's so important. So I more appreciate the connections that I've been able to make with women who either are, I've met a lot of women who are waiting for children and, pursuing that, and it's been a struggle,
Mm-hmm.
or, moms who are just like trying to raise their children and, that sort of
Yeah.
thing. So I want my kids to see all the seasons of my life and how I walked with the Lord in those. This is one way I've really
Mm-hmm.
felt inspired to do that. And then, so yeah, some Bible journaling. And then let's see. Well, I wrote a few down, but I've been trying to detox my makeup routine. I know
Oh,
that's like a
yeah?
trendy thing to say. So I've been looking for a chemical-free moisturizer. I know this is
Yeah.
random, but I found a great product. It's called Gold Clover Tallow. It's
That
from a
sounds
company
familiar.
out on the West Coast. You can
Mm-hmm.
find them on Instagram. I think it's Gold Clover CO on Instagram or something. But it's been the most amazing product, and I can even put it in my hair. Tallow is an old school thing. It's a rendered animal fat, so that sounds a little crazy. Just look it up.
Wow, I didn't know that. So it's not an
Yeah,
herb. So tallow is a animal product.
right. So it wouldn't be a vegan product, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
chemical-free product, and
Yeah.
my husband's a scientist, so he could explain this better, I'm
Oh,
sure.
wow.
But because animal cells are the closest to human cells, they're
Mm-hmm.
more regenerative and restorative than
For
a
us.
plant-based
Mm-hmm.
sort of moisturizer kind
That
of thing.
makes
So, but
sense. Yeah.
yeah, it does. So it's good for, my kids have I have a son with pretty dry skin, so we
Mm-hmm.
just like use it on everything. So I've also been a little evangelistic for them, but so I really like that. Yeah.
That's a great,
Anyway.
yeah, that's a great tip. I'm going to have to look into that because it makes sense. I mean, you can,
Mm-hmm.
it would make sense that we would be closer in like the makeup of an animal than a plant. So you could put something and it would be helpful and restore us. Well, the medical
Yeah.
world does it already. I was just
Yeah.
talking to a friend of mine and he's getting some kind of pig something in his leg.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Mm-hmm. It's true.
kind of crazy. Well,
Mm-hmm.
thanks so much, Sarah, for coming on and sharing about you and what you do. And of course, you're going to be offering listeners a discount on some of your products, and I'll give them information on that. And of course, it'll be on the website. But I do appreciate you coming on and chatting with me
Yeah.
today.
Thank you so much. It was good to talk to you.
Sarah was a great guest. She has a thriving business and lots of potential for growth. She's offering our listeners a 20% discount on her products. So if you can go and visit CorrineSandiford.com for all the information we talked about today, and the links to the products we mentioned will be there as well, and you can find out how to get that 20% discount. It will be at her Etsy shop, which will have a link for that, and it will be Rising Stories 20 for the discount. Thanks so much for listening. I would really appreciate it if you would go to iTunes and hit subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and also leave me a comment. It's very simple and easy. I'm thinking about making a video for that to help people understand how easy it is to do that. And I would really appreciate it. A lot of times I will mention those reviews here on the podcast. Thanks again, and take care and keep rising in your own story.